Good day. My name is Richard Lowe, and I am the Writing King. I sell book coaching, ghostwriting, and LinkedIn branding services. Alfredo is my guest today, and he is a passionate nutritionist, a fitness coach, a speaker, and author. He comes from Mexico, and he brings over 30 years of expertise to his holistic approach to well-being. With his program, Connect Mind and Body, he has dedicated his life to understanding the intricate connection between physical and mental performance. Welcome, Alfredo.
Thank you very much, Richard, to be here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm happy to have you on. So you said you're an author. What have you written?
Well, I've been a co-author in 2 books. One of them became bestseller, but the first one, it was an incredible introduction in the Spanish market because it was in Spanish about self-development and how people went through different trials and finally they saw the light at the end of the tunnel to help people keep it up with every challenge they may have. And it was awesome. Don Miguel Ruiz, the one for the 4 Agreements, was our godfather. So he spoke highly about the book. And from there, we went to do, some speaking engagements and helping the Spanish community.
Sounds excellent. So tell me more about what is the book? When I read the book, what does it do for me?
Well, it shows 13 different walks of life because it was made with no authors or writers, only a couple of them, but the rest was like regular people. A chef, someone that was doing investments, a hypnotherapist, a housewife, a real estate woman. And it was very diverse, but it shows that no matter what country, no matter what background, people have stories. And sometimes we don't feel like we can relate or we can find some type of relief to what we're going through. So it helps us analyze, basically, make better choices and continue in life.
Very good. Yeah, I certainly could have used that earlier in my life. Maybe even now.
Sure.
You said you live in near Mexico City.
Yeah, in Mexico City. I was born and raised in Mexico City. I'm the only child from a single mom growing up in the 60s. So it wasn't quite common because, normally Latin families, they're like 2, 3 brothers or sisters, the dad, the mom. But it happens that I was the only child from a single mom. So it was kind of like a little bit awkward. I grew up with my grandparents, my aunt, and my uncles, but I was always feeling a little void inside of me.
Okay, and what did you do about that void?
I start at early age trying to find a way to feel secure, to feel accepted in a way. But because I didn't know much about life, it was kind of like intuitive. So I grew up in the downtown area. So on the weekends, there was not too many people around the area. So I will ask permission, as soon as I went out with my uncle, my grandparents, but I wanted to go by myself. So I went around the blocks right by the city hall and I start running. So the running, moving my body and feeling in some way in control, it gave me some kind of power like superhero and it started making me feel good and feel like I can control something, even though the outside, society-wise, it wasn't maybe kind of like normal. So I felt good doing it by myself. And then from there, I started doing sports, martial arts, bodybuilding, and it gave me so much support in terms of my self-esteem.
Very good. Very good. So Mexico City is located about in the middle of Mexico, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Pretty far inland.
Yeah, so it's about 3 hours flying from Los Angeles, where I lived for about 28 years.
My understanding it's a pretty big city.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is big. It's full of people. And right now, it kind of multiply the people that were, not even born already. They have kids. And yeah, so it's a big city.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to I guess there's Aztec pyramids and ruins and things around there. and I've always wanted to visit those, but never quite made it down there. Been to Ensenada a few times on a cruise, but not Mexico City, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. My late wife was from Guatemala, which is south of Mexico. I think it's Nicaragua and then Guatemala.
Yeah, they're kind of close by in the south.
Yeah, she's a pure Guatemalan, or was. She passed away.
Sorry.
But it's a long time ago. But thank you. Anyway, what else? So why did you start writing?
Yeah, that was a good question. I asked myself when that happened, because kind of a little backtrack. After I graduated from nutrition, because I wanted to do medicine, but being a young adult, I was trying to figure out life and being the only child, because that was kind of like a little thing carried me through my whole, young adult life. I wanted to fit in. So I messed it up in high school. I tried to make it up. And my mom said, well, your dad used to be, he was a doctor. And you said that when you were young, that when you grow up, you want to be a doctor. So you better be a doctor. So it was kind of like trying to feel the pressure and trying to find a life on my own. And I messed it up. So I was doing bodybuilding after martial arts. So the nutrition career came out in Mexico. So I said, I need to hang on to something because I messed up with my mom. So I need to make it up. So I asked my uncle to sponsor me to go back to school and study. So I graduated for in nutrition. But before I finished my thesis and everything, a friend of mine from the gym moved to LA, to Venice, California, the mecca of bodybuilding. And because bodybuilding was our passion, I wanted to go visit Alex, which she was my friend. And I said, I need to go. So I got my passport, my visa. I gathered a little couple dollars and I saved. And I went in 36 hours by bus. I got to the border. I hand out my documents. And the officer said, okay, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Los Angeles to visit a friend. And put everything in paper. 1 second, he went inside the office, came out, and he handed me the passport and cancel the passport, the visa, and you cannot enter. So I questioned why. He said, well, you cannot enter. And then he said, next, because there was people behind me. So I went devastated back home. And I felt so bad because I said, I want to do the right thing. And why is this happening to me? It was kind of like another cold water bucket thrown at me. So I said, I'm not going to ask permission. I'm going to finish my school and I'm going to cross illegally. So that's what I did. There was a long story on it. I crossed and I went into LA. It was the new discovery and beginning. So I started doing personal training after I got certified. A couple of years later, I was always working out, which kept me sane in a way. And then I went to this Hispanic network mixer to, promote my services, because mainly I did all my career with English speaking people. But that meeting, I met this woman and she had a show for self-development in Spanish television. I met her, we talked, I told her what I do, my program Connected Mind and Body and everything. So she said, well, that's great, but you got to talk to the Spanish community. You're missing out, Alfredo. You got to come to my show. So I went to her show. It went well. She said, I want you to come back. But that show was paid advertisement. So you got to pay to be on the show. And I said, well, I just got married. We had the first kid. So I don't think I can pull out some dollars to go in. She said, don't worry, come back. So I went there for 5 episodes with her. And it was awesome because she said, you don't have to pay. I like you. You have a good spirit. So she invited me to this show where she was speaking. And I met this guy from Mexico who was living in LA, and he became a writer, a guy who grew up with polio. He got like 3 kids. The last one blind, with kidney failure. So became a self-development writer. And he invited me to meet this group of Hispanic people that were finishing a book. And he said, I want you to meet them. Maybe on the second edition, you can join us. And I said, okay, well, that's great. There was a bunch of people, like 15, 16 people. I went back home at midnight. He called me and said, Alfredo, about 5 people of our group are quitting because work and distance and everything, they cannot finish. I want you to be in it. You have 1 week to write a chapter to be in the book. And I said, wow, I never wrote anything. What am I going to write about? So he said, Alfredo, everybody has a story. But write something that is meaningful, something that is in your heart that you want to speak and people to know. So I started writing like 3, 4 days and I couldn't make any sense. So I finally came out with a chapter and the title. And that's how I started my writing career. And there was a couple stories before the book got released, but it was amazing because I wasn't just the personal trainer or the nutritionist. It was a speaker and then a writer. So it was awesome.
Very cool. That's a great story. And you said you wrote 2 books, correct?
Yeah. The last one was here about a year ago. It was someone that I met. I reached out to that person because I saw the profile. It was one of those challenge to improve yourself and become better. So this woman and her husband were doing a lot of different events to help people to connect with themselves and become better. And she put out, the group of friends they had on Facebook. She said, I'm writing a book because I've been in my life with different traumas and dramas. So I was able to come up out of that and become a healer and a coach. So I said, she said, I want anyone interested to send me a DM. So I sent her a DM and I said, Najira, I would like to be included. And I wasn't expecting to be chosen. And she said, sure, Alfredo, no problem. Let's get in Zoom. And then we have a writing coach and we have different people, the editorial. And it was amazing. The book was released last year and become bestseller in Amazon. We're 33 authors. And the book is called Repair of the Black Family.
Say that again.
Repair of the Black Family Anthology. And the authors are there. I'm the only Mexican. And it was amazing because it was another shot to write something. For me, now being like a formal writer, like I didn't study anything else, but it was awesome. I think it was another calling for me to share it to the world.
And you have another book in mind.
Well, I'm thinking in writing something about myself too. I don't have a quite set what's gonna be, but I'm sure this year I'm gonna put that into paper.
Awesome. Yeah, you should keep going. If you're in 2 books, I know you probably have the writing bug, as I like to call it, and definitely keep going. It's a very, write your own, it's a very fulfilling mission. Speaking of mission, what is your mission as a writer?
Well, my mission is for people to be more aware of their health, but not just physically, but mentally. Because I think in the 21st century, people or us, we've been living from the neck up. Seeing, hearing, speaking, and from the neck down, we only pay attention when we feel discomfort, when we feel pain. If you have a shoulder pain, you want to put a cream or take a pill.
Mhm.
If your lower back, your knees hurt, you're trying to find something, but you never look for the origin of the problem. So connecting your mind and finding what it is, you have better chances to prevent, to become healthier, but more self-aware, so you can really put your best self into whatever you do and be successful. Not successful just having a big bank account, but actually feel fulfilled. To feel secure by yourself and not just trying to impress or trying to pretend, because pretty much everything like that is just appearance.
Of course.
But inside, you know there's something going on. You know, you're wealthy, you're successful, but you have a colitis, you have a bad mood, you have a vices. And, you know, for me, that person, including myself in the past, was just empty.
And writing has helped you through that.
Yeah, basically, in some of the topics in I write, because, you know, health and fitness, I put a big emphasis, especially in my program. My program is Connecting Mind and Body, and it's based on 3 points: analyzing people's stress based on the posture. The posture of our bodies reflects a lot of stress and discomfort that we might have. So once we are aware of that, we can fix it with the method that I have. So people become aware of what they look like and how they feel. So if you have a good mood, you're gonna be prompt to eat healthy. But if you're in a bad mood, even though you know what to eat, you're gonna say, forget it. I'm gonna eat cake. I'm gonna have a glass of wine for the people who drink, because I want something to give me peace, give me comfort. I'm not gonna eat the salad, the chicken, or whatever. And then what they do, they go and boost their energy on the gym, massage, sauna, CrossFit, whatever they do. They drain their energy. They feel peace at the moment, and then they come back in the cycle. It never ends the cycle. But once I point them what to do, they can have that connection of good posture, feeling better, eating better. And the detonator is the physical activity, because it's going to give you like a dynamo, an enhancement of your energy, and you're going to feel well. I feel good, I feel strong, even though I'm 80 or 90, which some of my clients were like 70s, 80s. And they said, I don't care about the age. I feel good mentally and physically. No? I'm not six-pack guy or muscles or curves like, you know, some of the females, but I'm functional. I feel good. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I know my problem through my life has been stress. That's one reason why I became a writer, was I worked in corporate and the stress was just killing me. You know, aches and pains and body problems and mental problems and emotional stuff. And finally, I just said 10 years ago, I said, I'm done with this. I need to go do something else. And I became a writer. Now, of course, there's still stress as a writer because I have to make a living. I have to find jobs, and that's my whole living. But it's a different kind of stress because I have control of it. If I don't market my services and my books, I don't make money, and it's my fault. If I do market it, and I get clients in, and then I feel good. So it talks against me being lazy, because I can't be lazy because I won't make money, and then I, won't be able to pay the rent. So the stress is a different kind of stress. It's a more healthy stress, I think, because I'm in control. The other stress was I'm out of control. I got people telling me what to do, people who didn't know what they were doing, people who I thought were quite often stupid. Sometimes they were smart. And that's the most frustrating stress of all, is you can't control it. And I'm sure, I wonder if you found that out too, it's the uncontrollableness that makes it really stressful. For me, it's if I have it under control, or know that I can control it and can take steps, then, like when I first started writing, it never occurred to me to be a writer that I have to be a marketer. I have to market my books, I have to sell them. And that caused a lot of stress because I didn't know how to do it. And I needed to make a living because I quit my job and moved and so forth. But once I figured out the marketing, could get customers, the stress went away because I had it wired, I could do it. And I wonder if you found the same kind of thing with your clients.
Yeah, actually, Richard, you nail a big important point, because when I start making a living in a different country after I moved, and I did the whole action movie drama scenario, I began to find ways that I can be more effective. One, because I was learning a new language. I was trying to immerse myself fully. And someone that I met at the gym from Venezuela, who was writing music for HBO and other shows, he said, Alfredo, in order to improve your English and to become more familiar, you gotta see only CNN news, read business news. Don't listen to any radio music in English and trying to figure out, or Arsenio Ho show, or anything that it kind of switches the slang and the different ways of communicating, because you want to train your ear. So I was going to the night school for adults, and that helped me a little bit because the teacher was playing the Beatles songs, and she will break them in a small pieces, and then she asked us to kind of sing along to start getting the right words and the right listening, the right ear, and it started giving me more sense of confidence. Then I started recording myself. So that helped me a lot. And then from there, I started going in different routes to find what to do. I became personal trainer certified. I went for different trainings, and I was kind of boxing myself only to be a personal trainer. And everything else that I wanted to do, to share with people, it was kind of like in the back burner and kind of waiting to come out until someone says, why don't you go to Toastmasters to improve your skills, your communication skills? Because you have a lot of knowledge, but you want to share it with the people so people know who you are and what you do, but in a bigger scale, not just confined to do one thing. That's when I start losing that kind of fear of speaking, but also to relate to others. And then I start saying, well, no one is paying me for that, but I need to market myself, like you said. So I started going to some of those breakfast and lunch mixers to promote myself. And I was single, but when I got married, it was a different story, because then I needed to make more income to provide for my wife. Then the first child came out, and at 3 years old, he got diagnosed with autism. So it was more like well, yeah, I'm a personal trainer, I study nutrition, and I'm going to this gym to get paid, but my expenses went up. And the whole thing of, dreaming and doing things, it kind of leaned me into, I need to market myself. I need to promote myself. So I started going to different things, but I found that I didn't have much knowledge, because it was back then, in the late 90s, when things started going, internet and advertisement and stuff. So it was kind of difficult because I was all over the place in my mind, and I didn't know how to do it. So I was banging my head quite a bit, because I wanted to be the one-man orchestra, playing all those instruments, being a dad, being a husband, being a personal trainer, nutritionist, and promoting myself. So I was really puzzled, even though this woman invited me to the TV and the books and everything. It was difficult. And I think having mentors like you and other people that have already reached that level is something that I start hanging on in order to make it.
Yep. Yep. And marketing is the part where most writers fail, I think, because I think a lot of writers go into writing because they're kind of introverted. And writing is a way that they can talk, so to speak, without being in front of people. And they write and write and write and write, and then they have this book finished that is their masterpiece. And then how do they sell it? And that's the wall. I call it the wall of marketing. They hit that and they come to a screeching halt. And they either learn it or they don't. Some people get somebody else to do it. That's expensive, but marketing's like anything else. It's not hard. It's just a new thing you need to learn. You have to learn new stuff. And it's always, that's been the surprise for me with marketing, is it's always changing because of the internet. And it's always, one day you're in Google, one day you're not. One day you're doing well on LinkedIn and they change the algorithm, and then you're not. and you just got to roll with it, because what can you do? I mean, you can't call up LinkedIn and say, hey, fix it, because we did that on purpose. So I'm actually starting to have fun with the marketing now for the first time ever. And one of the things you got to also, I'm sure you had to overcome, and I had to overcome, is when you're marketing yourself, you're talking about yourself. And I don't know how it is in Mexico, but in the United States, we're taught not to talk about ourselves. we're taught to talk, if you talk about yourself, it's bad, you're narcissistic, blah, 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 you're arrogant. Well, when you're marketing yourself, you don't have a choice. You're a good writer. I got to say, I'm a good writer. I got to say, I'm a good coach. And I'm sure you've run into the same kind of, I would guess you've run into the same kind of mental thing where it's kind of a cultural thing. We're not taught. I certainly wasn't taught to market myself, to make my. I was actually taught the opposite, to kind of hide a little bit because you don't want to be seen. Because, oh my God, that would be bad. And well, it's not bad to be seen, and it's
Yeah.
actually good. So, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's something very common. And I think just even being social without any marketing, I think in life, sometimes we're told to be quiet, to behave. And, even in Mexico, growing up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, when I left Mexico, it was still some stigma, and there was only the salespeople who were kind of like trying to get you to buy something, even if you don't need it, because that was kind of like the idea of the salesperson. Just try to convince you to pay the money and they leave because that's how they get the commission and everything. But then things start evolving. So I always, I think, wanted to look for answers, and sometimes was kind of like fearful looking for it. I never backed up. I always looked for options. And in terms of marketing, it was kind of like, what can I do that maybe fits myself? Then I don't sound like someone else, because I found sometimes kind of like a little holes in between. And I said, well, that person is taller or speaks more loud, and I'm a little more quiet and I'm short. So I start kind of comparing, but I start learning that you have to be yourself, but you have to be liking yourself first, so you can present yourself as you are and not pretending. So with that enthusiasm and that positive energy, people will start resonating with you. And that's how you're going to start doing that attraction, which they call attraction marketing, but no with the hidden agenda, but just being you, like, being without combing your hair, like maybe in your pajamas, and say, well, I'm drinking my coffee because I had a late night talk or whatever. And then people are going to say, hey, Alfredo is real and I can relate to him. I don't see him like the top guy who's on TV and stuff. So I can relate, and maybe I can get some confidence, which is what I did when I trained some teenagers. The dads came to me, and one of them was like in Mexico, before COVID. And he said, my son is going to Germany for a camp for 1 month. The kid was like 14. He only had like maybe 4 pounds to lose, but mainly the self-confidence. So what I did with him was building rapport, connecting with him to have empathy, to feel confident, and then he started feeling comfort. And that's how I was able to market to the kid and then to the dad. But it wasn't a hidden agenda to say, well, my fees are this much. You want to sign up now. It was more like on the other side, more like a human connection. And that's when I didn't realize I'm marketing myself. I'm not speaking about how good I am, but I'm giving some type of connection with the person.
Yep.
And I still learning.
I think we'll be learning that till the day we die. But yeah, I mean, I sell a pretty big ticket item. Ghostwriting is not cheap. And the thing I have to do is create a rapport, as you say, with people. And it has to be really, I have to self-confidence, because if I don't have the self-confidence, they're not going to buy my product, my service. And it's it can be pretty tough. It could be very interesting. But like today, I had a conversation with a potential client. It went very well. And he's at the end of it, he's like, yeah, we'll sign up, give you a couple months and we'll sign up, and he's like, okay, and he will. It'll be a good project. But one thing I insist on is working with people who are good people. Don't work with toxic people. I mean, I was in corporate and I just got so tired of the toxicity, not necessarily of the corporate itself, but of some of the people. And there's nothing you can do about it. You know, it should still work there. I mean, you got this person in the same workplace, and he's, you know what I mean by toxic. This is a bad person, and now I pick my clients, and I'm in a position where I can pick my clients. I mean, I've turned down $200,000 contracts because the client was not going to work out, and I wasn't going to do 9 books with him, having to cry every night because he was that bad. Like, nope, not going to do it. And of course, new business came in, and it was fine. You know, and I'm confident enough where I can take the risk of, yeah, I can turn that down because it's going to be bad. I'll make a lot of money, but I'll probably pay for it in doctor bills. That's the stress part. And I went to Toastmasters too. It's one of the things I did to help break the shyness and so forth, and learn to be a speaker and do these interviews and things. I love doing these interviews because it's great finding out about other people and how they overcame whatever they had to overcome to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
I do two interviews. I do author talks and I do conversations with influencers, 2 separate things. So I find influencers who have a large audience, and they're somewhat famous in their field, and I interview them. And that's a whole different ball of wax. Well, we're coming to the end of our time, and I wonder if you had anything else you wanted to add.
Well, first of all, I want to just thank you again for the opportunity to be here with you. I think you have a wealth of knowledge, and all the different points that you touch, they're like a golden nuggets to me, because I think they're always listening to someone who's already there or who's doing great things. And that's why I, request to be on your show. I feel very fortunate, and just glad to be here and being able to share with the world. I have this incredible knowledge, and I help people to become healthy from the inside out. And I'm happy to connect with anyone who's really looking to improve their lives.
How do people get hold of you?
Yeah, well, now Instagram is the main platform where I interact, and my link is in the bio, and I have a free discovery call. My handle is Alfredo Zapata Coach. And
I will have that link in the video, or the webpage for this video, so they'll be able to click on it.
Sure.
Good. Excellent. Well, this has been the Writing King, and this is Author Talks, and I am a ghostwriter, and I write books on technology and such. I'm also a writing coach, so if any writers out there need some help, what I do is, as you do, I do a free consultation where we figure out what's wrong, what you think is wrong with your writing, and come up with a personalized plan, and we work through it. And I also do LinkedIn branding. So if you're not getting any value or reach from your LinkedIn, call me up and we can help with that. So this has been a great interview. I thank you for coming on, and stay in touch.
Yes, I will. Thank you very much, Richard.